Danny, Steven Gerrard, your pal from long time ago, but is not going to be going back for a second spell at Rangers. And maybe Kevin Muscat, former player, is going to go there. He's emerged as the new favourite for the Rangers job. Is there much about Muscat this morning that would spring to mind for you to say, yeah, why not?
Well, I mean, I don't know him, and I don't really have a great knowledge of his body of work other than what I've read and the things he's won in far countries that we don't know much about the quality and how he's had his success unless you look into it more deeply. So it would be a risk, but I suppose he's got a connection with the club. He's had some success. Anyone who goes in there is climbing a mountain trying to overcome Celtic with the current Rangers squad and their lack of budget compared to Celtic. You know, you are asking for somebody to do a very, very difficult job. But there is loads of room for improvement. So for someone, it's probably quite appealing. I would imagine that Muscat wouldn't be the fans' first choice or somebody they'd be begging to get through the door.
I think they are warming to him. I mean, I was talking to some Rangers fans, some friends of mine that I know live in Glasgow, and there is a warming towards Muscat. That might be because they've been beaten down by the appointment of Russell Martin, and they're looking like if you're in a desert and someone gives you sand in your thirsty, they're convinced that they quenches your thirst. But it's interesting because Muscat comes from the same place as Ange Postecoglou. He managed the same team, and arguably...
Or in Japan, was it Yokohama?
Correct.
Yeah.
So if Celtic looked to Ange Postecoglou and the credentials, and obviously there was more work behind that, but his current employment was with the same side that Muscat has recently managed more successfully with a bigger win record. If it was good enough for Celtic... Why in the good? I mean, my recollection.
I suppose you could argue that Ange was walking into a Celtic squad that was already more than capable.
But what they're asking Rangers is to be better.
Yeah, no.
And there's got to be a tacit acceptance.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be a period of time. What they're not expecting is what Russell Martin delivered. They've got to expect, if there's an acceptance that Rangers aren't as good as Celtic, what they're going to look for someone to come and do is drag it up and drag it up fast. Right? What they didn't see from Russell Martin was that. But they didn't give Russell Martin, he didn't deserve it in the end, but they didn't give him a chance. They'd already made their mind up. They were already booing him in pre-season friendlies. So it was already, die was already cast. Muscat comes into a different setup. They've vented their spleen. They've told everybody what they think.
Yeah, they'll get behind him.
Muscat will get some more latitude. But if he draws his first 5 games, or anyone comes in, you know, whoever comes in, if my suggestion, Rafa came in and drew his first 5 games, they'll be on his back.
The problem is with Muscat, isn't there? There's a little caveat with Muscat in the fact that I don't think he can get out till the end of November. I know we're not that far away, but Rangers are in dire need now, aren't they?
Well, that's right. I mean, it's being reported up there that former Rangers midfielder winger Neil McCann, could step in as interim boss until Muscat finishes up in Asia. I mean, if you're interviewing Muscat today, Simon, and he's saying, yeah, I want it, and I am the man, and you decide, more importantly, yeah, he is my man, would you just say, incidentally, forget about those games in Asia, you're out of there as of now, and you're here for us this Saturday when we play Dundee United?
Well, if I was wearing my Rangers hat, yeah, I'll be saying, no, come on now. If I were wearing an objective hat, which is I respect the man's loyalty and integrity, and I look forward to him reciprocating that with me.
Right.
Because you see people behaving in a certain way, you anticipate that when the time comes, if Kevin Muscat comes to Rangers and is successful, because I'm bringing him to be successful, someone else is going to covet him. I'll appreciate him not doing what we're attempting to do to him at the current club that he's at now.
Yeah.
But on the other side, if I'm Rangers, I'm like, well, I want you now. Can I hold it together for 2 weeks? I think we can probably hold it together for 2 weeks.
It's more like 6 weeks.
What do you guys know at the moment regards betting trends at BetMGM?
Morning, lads. So there has been loads of movement in this market over the past few days, and until around 20 minutes ago, I was all set to discuss the merits of Kevin Muscat with you. He'd come in from 5-1 at the start of the week to Even's favourite yesterday, and even this morning, he'd been cut to 3-10. But actually, in the last 20-30 minutes or so, there has been movement once again in the market towards one Steven Gerrard, Jim. Now, we went into the weekend with Gerrard seemingly close to the job. By the time Monday swung round, it was former Sheffield Wednesday boss Danny Rowell into favourite. Now he's drifted to 7s. Same story with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He came way in from 40-1 on Monday to 3-1. He's back out at 7s alongside Rowell. The upshot of that, gents, is that Gerrard now back in as favourite, hovering around the even money mark, so way back in. And Kevin Muscat is second favourite. He's oscillated between 6-4 and 7-4, with the rest pretty much as you were. Don't suppose you've heard anything?
Well, I'm asking certain questions on this at the moment, but Sean, thanks for that. So what do we read into it, Simon? I mean, when you hear something like this, you have to think, well, there's something in that, the significance of it. but he is seemingly back in the frame.
Based upon bookies odds, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how their actuaries work and how they formulate their odds and how money gets poured into a particular individual, and that obviously they react to it. I mean, I've never understood why the necessity that the information regarding Gerrard and Rangers talking was public domain needed to be in the public domain. I know these things are difficult to control, but they employed a bloody England manager of anyone knowing. So if you want to be able to control it and suppress it and make sure that the two parties don't talk in the media, then if that was the situation, I don't understand why they couldn't have, if Gerrard's back in, why couldn't they have resolved whatever issues they had in their much publicised meeting? I would suspect it's something to do with his contract in Saudi. I would suspect there's some degree of financial adjustment to the adjustments he may have to make by finding himself back in the awful position of being a taxpayer.
You would think, Sean, I'm coming back to you, but Danny, you know the man, you know Steven. You would think when he was in the frame and the supporters are thinking he's coming back, he knows the kind of welcome he would get. And he would, because he won 55 for them. And that has put them in their minds right up there. Then he went to Villa, and we know all that. But the feeling up there is, my understanding is, the vast majority would want him back following the debacle that was Russell Martin. He would want to go back on the strength of that popularity as well, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the reasons he would or he wouldn't, to be honest with you, because I haven't spoken to him. But the reality is that it's hard to look past the obvious, which is what Simon's talking about. And if it is that, I don't blame him for using his position of strength to put them in a corner. If you want me that badly, then you pay.
Okay.
I mean, people can call it greed, but it's the way football is. Managers and players across the board, across the world, do the same thing every week.
So, Sean, do you want to just reaffirm that news for us, that Gerrard has now re-emerged in the betting, so much so that he's out-and-out favourite?
Yeah, I mean, it's close. He's actually, even just as I'm talking now, he's moved from evens to 5-4, which is slightly out the way. Kevin Muscat 6-4, so it's still considered close between the two of them. I heard you talking about Kevin Muscat. I heard you mention 55 there, Jim.
Yeah.
What I would mention is, I think it's kind of forgotten about that was the situation Ange Postecoglou inherited at Celtic. Steven Gerrard had just won the league, had just went undefeated. Celtic had a bit of a shambles, really. So I wouldn't discount the job that Ange did when he came in there either. I think there's parallels there with Kevin Muscat, not just the fact that both Australian, obviously, but
yeah,
the teams that they've got in common, as Simon said. Kevin Muscat's went to two different teams that Ange Postecoglou had just recently vacated and coached with them in Australia. So there's definitely parallels there.